Very excited and very happy to see so many people attending our live today. My name is Alina. I'm an Education USA advisor, and today we have an interesting webinar that is related to a success story. But first of all, I would just like to introduce you once again, Education USA Virtual. That's the program that we are conducting, and you can access our website. We are here providing monthly webinars on useful topics that will help you to navigate your research process for your studies in the US. Additionally, you can find useful courses, useful articles, and one of the programs that I am very happy to announce once again, because we have promoted it last Saturday with my colleague, with the leader of this program, Aina Shkodesheva, is GSAP. So this is a program that is designed specifically for students who would like to pursue their graduate degree. So if you are now interested to apply for your master or for your PhD, you should know that this program is for you. And the applications will close on 30th of April. So you still have a lot of time to apply for this program. In case if you have question, you can use the email address of my colleague Ainash to address them. But other than that, I encourage you to study this program. I encourage you to participate because it's totally free. And today, related to the postgraduate studies, we have an invitee that is by chance my colleague from Education USA Armenia, Nairy. And she will participate in our today's webinar as a speaker. We invited her to share her story because she has been accepted to an Ivy League university. And today she will tell us her success story, how she managed to be accepted there. And we will talk a lot about the financial part because definitely, guys, that's one of the most difficult and also challenging part in your application process. So we will finish with, we will address the questions that we've got from you before the start of this webinar, and we will also encourage you to submit your question in the chat box because you also have this option, and we will also refer to them after we finish with all the questions that we have prepared for Nairy. So Nairy, thank you once again for attending our today's session. I am really appreciating, and I am more than sure that our students will definitely benefit of it. I will just give you the floor to introduce yourself and to tell us more. Where have you been accepted? To what program? So people will understand better what we're going to talk about today.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Alina, and thank you, Education USA virtual team for organizing these webinars monthly. I encourage everyone to keep up with the webinars because so many of them are very helpful. They were helpful for me as well in my application process. So just briefly about myself, I'm Nairy. I'm from originally from Lebanon, but I'm Armenian. Studying my undergraduate degree was at the American University of Armenia in English and Communications. But recently, I've been accepted to master's program in Anthropology and Education at Teachers College, Columbia University. This was out of my options that I applied to 6 different universities. I didn't expect that I would get accepted to an Ivy League institution, but I guess we will talk more about how it's a matter of how you fit to a specific university, and it doesn't matter if it's an Ivy or a state university. It's just like the matter of how you fit within a university.
I totally agree. Okay, so here is going to be also a bit of advising because that's why I'm also double excited about the fact that you're also participating in this webinar, because you will also share that from the perspective of an advisor and from the perspective of a potential student. Okay, so one of the first question that I wanted to ask today is if you can share a bit about the process of applying to specifically master degree and what led you to apply specifically to Columbia, because you've applied to several other institutions, and we know that normally all the students would apply for a PhD. How did you manage to get accepted to a master, and how would that be different than to apply for a PhD, for example?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So when I started doing my research at around like August, even a bit earlier, June, July. I was doing my research for the program that I want. And I was a bit confused because, like a newly graduate, I didn't get accepted last year when I applied to only 2 universities. I didn't get accepted, so I was gonna be taking my gap year. So after a recent university graduate, I was a bit confused what I want to continue with, because I really wanted to continue in anthropology, because also my capstone for my undergrad was anthropological, and I was like into already like cultural anthropology. But also, while working with Education USA and being in the education sector, I realized that I also love this part as well, like the education sector as general. So I was looking for different programs. Mostly I found like, okay, cultural anthropology. There's so many universities that offer those programs. But I was so surprised to find that there's a program called Anthropology and Education at Teachers College, Columbia University. And I put that on my list. At first, I thought it's gonna be, I'm like, no, I'm reaching too high. Like, how would I get accepted? But then I started doing more and more research, and I saw that actually this is the program that I need. This is the program that I like. Looking at the course material, with how I want to continue, how I envision my career, how those courses will help me, and so on. So I started participating in the webinars that they were hosting, which is a really good thing to do from the start of your applications, to show interest, to show that you're actually interested in the program. So yeah, I started with those webinars. The applications were not open yet, and then they announced like the applications will open in a few weeks, and you can apply. And to say that, yeah, the master's applications are a bit different than undergraduate applications or even PhD applications, because I also applied to 2 programs in PhD. I did not get in, but that's the next step for me. But for masters, it's not like there's no common app that you can send for all the universities. If you're familiar with US university undergraduate admissions, you have this common app. You would send your application as a common app, and sometimes only additional questions will be asked to you by specific universities. But for masters, you have to, if you're applying to 10 different universities, you have to fill out 10 different applications. The process includes writing your personal statement, or sometimes referred as statement of purpose. You have to be very careful on what the prompt is saying, and that is like one of the most important aspect of your application. Besides that, I had to also reach out to my professors and also my supervisor for the recommendation letter. And this is good to do as early as you can, because you never know, there might be some difficulties, even technical difficulties. At one point, like, the email was not being sent from my portal to my professor, so I had to reach out multiple times. So it's better to start as early as you can, because they also have lives, they have jobs, so they're pretty busy. So for them to give the chance to give you a good recommendation letter and not just a generic one. um, so yeah, with recommendation letters, and then you have to see if you have any specific test requirements, if your program requires GRE, TOEFL for English, or IELTS or Duolingo. Yeah, you have to look at those. But basically, the process, the components of this application includes these steps. My program did not have interview stage. Some programs do have interview stage, especially when the number of applicants are high, because they kind of want to know more about, because a lot of applications might have similar profile, that just gives them a more personalized view towards the student.
Okay, that totally makes sense. And I wanted to ask you, when you were revising the program that you're going to apply, or the university that you want to apply to, what were kind of the main characteristics, or kind of the main the main things that you were paying attention to when you were doing your research? Did you put attention specifically or more focus on the program or more on the university or on the location? What was the most important thing in the process?
So for me, mostly it was about the research component, because I want to continue like in the future in research, and I want to stay in academia. So the most important part for me to have like some research opportunities within the program. But besides that, I was actually like, I'm gonna say the truth, I was also looking for location. I myself wanted to be somewhere in the East Coast. I didn't want to be in the West Coast, because for me, I don't know, I felt like I would feel more comfortable being those states. I think that's also an important thing to take into consideration, because you don't want to study somewhere that you don't feel happy, or you don't like. So that's why like I took into consideration the location of the university. And besides that, some additional aspects that I looked at were like the opportunities after graduation, because usually a lot of universities on their program, they have like kind of a survey that they have done for the alumni, and they show like usually where they would work. So Columbia was one of the universities that most of their graduates were in academia, and that's what I wanted as well, to stay in academia, either with teaching and research. So that's what I took into consideration too. And of course, coursework, like to see what kind of classes that you're taking. Because again, master's programs are a bit more specific than undergraduate programs. Undergraduate, you can even go undecided in the US, where you can take different courses for you to figure out what you actually enjoy. But with the graduate degree, it's more specific. So I wanted to actually get the best out of it, out of the program. So it's beneficial for me and for my future career.
Totally makes sense. Great. Uh, Also, I wanted to ask, did you outreach the professors yourself, or did you just apply randomly to these universities or by choice? Because you said that there were some factors on which you have paid attention and on which you were focused. But we know that sometimes we encourage our students, especially those who are applying for PhD, that they should outreach and they should do their research and maybe specifically focus on the work also of professors, and outreaching them first, asking them if they need help or if they need assistance, or we normally would tell them how they would have to integrate in that communication before starting to study specifically.
Mhm.
Did you do that or not?
Yeah, so for my master's programs that I applied to, different master program, also during the webinars, they were a lot of students asked this question, like, should we reach out to professors? And the ones that I was applying to those programs, they said like, for the master's program, you do not have to reach out to professors, because also professors are busy, they might not even apply and reply, I mean, so that's why it wasn't very much encouraged to reach out to professors. But on the other hand, for PhD, that's really important, because for PhD specifically, it's like the specific faculty members that decide their PhD candidates, because it will go under their grant. And I did reach out to one professor, but unfortunately, she didn't have any. She already had students for her grant, under her grant, but she said you could apply anyways, if another professor would like to have you on their research team. They will definitely want to have you. uh, but yeah, for PhD it's a bit different. So yeah, I did not get accepted to PhD, and I did reach out to professors. But for the masters, again, you have to look for specific for your program, because yeah, it varies from program to program, even to school. But in my case, it wasn't advised for us to reach out to professors. After you get admitted, of course, you can even show some sort of interest, like once you get on campus, if that you'll have some assistantship opportunities. But before, it's you just have to look at the specific requirements, so you also don't annoy the professors in that sense as well, because again, they're very busy as well, and it's hard for them to keep up with their current students and students who are just applying to those programs.
Okay, good. And now I want to move to the financial part, which is one of the part that is interesting for a lot of students. So we know that you didn't receive full financial aid at the institution that you have been accepted, and maybe if you can tell us more about the steps that you've taken just to secure your financial support, because you already said that you can also ask them if you're applying for your master if there is a possibility to do an assistantship or any other type of financial aid they can provide. What is going to be in your case, and how much is that going to cover?
Mhm. So yeah, I received only a small amount of scholarship directly from Teachers College Columbia, which is actually a common case for master's programs, because there's not usually the funding is more reserved for undergraduate students or grants that are for PhD students. So I the first step that anyone could do also is to try to appeal the decision. That's a concept that is accepted in many universities, but if they say no, like there's no appeals, don't kind of beg for it, because they're not going to change anything. So I tried my first step was tried to get I tried to appeal it, saying that if they could increase it a bit based on like my financial situation, also come as an international student, and they said that sorry, but we do not have any we are not accepting any appeals, but additionally you can look through the assistantships or on-campus jobs that we have, and also loans that they have for international students. So for me, I am checking every single day the assistantship parts as well, because they post it on their website, not only assistantship like teaching assistantship or research, but also they have some on-campus jobs that are not really the work study ones, that are more federal, which is more for local students, but they have some other jobs that are, for example, at the writing center at the university or the library, or so on. And they have those assistantships or work examples would give you some sort of tuition discount uh, and monthly stipend. But again, this depends on the university. Some universities will have a total fee waiver if you have an assistantship. But in my case, in Teachers College, there's the opportunity of financial discount from the tuition, like credit discount if you work on campus. So this is a thing that I'm working on now to get from Teachers College. But besides that, I really highly encourage for students to look for other scholarships. In external scholarships that are maybe specific to your country. For example, in my case, as an Armenian student, there are many scholarships for specifically for Armenian students, or for example, Armenian women, Armenian female students, and so on. So, and usually those scholarship will be able, like, will help you to pay certain amount of your tuition and general cost of attendance, because yes, for in order to get the visa you have to show that how you can cover the cost of attendance. Additionally, I would just add that student loans are always an option there. uh, we always advise, here I'm talking as a perspective and an advisor, but even as a student myself, what I'm thinking, that I am considering even student loans, because you have to accept that education is an investment. At the end, it's an investment. So if you believe that you actually want to do this program, it's something that you actually wanted, you didn't apply just out of pressure or out of the name of the university, or whatever. If you believe you actually want to be there, loans are always an option, and there's actually a lot of good or like organizations or even banks that would give you loans with, for example, 0% interest rate, because like as a student, as an international student, you would be able to get that. But again, for this, I would also recommend reaching out to organizations in your local context, in your country, like those educational organizations. They will help you they will refer to you some even scholarships or even loan opportunities which you can pay after graduating. Even like for some of them have for 6 months, you don't have to pay after graduating. After the 6 months, you start paying. So the last resort, we always say, like the last resort, even if you have like a small amount of portion of the cost of attendance, you can always get a loan. And I'm sure if you value your education enough and you get the most out of it, you will find a good job, find a good career, and you will be able to cover that. And it look at the long term goal, and not just for the short term that you'll be stressed that you have a loan. It's okay to have those loans. It's there for a reason, to help students to be able to continue their education.
Yes, especially if that's your dream, then yes, we encourage you to do so. I've had recently a student who was saying that he was accepted to Columbia, but he wasn't covered at all. So he has no tuition covered, nothing covered. So in this case, I would just recommend that maybe also you can focus on the preparation phase a bit more. You can take also a gap year. Maybe it's not this time, maybe it's the next year, or maybe in 2 years you're going to be accepted and you'll get more chances to get a better financial option. So it depends. It's case on case. But if you are really eager, then yes, that can be also an option. Alone, it can be also an option. Okay. And because you were saying that there are some resources that students can look locally in their country, what about the resources that you found like specifically in the US? If you can just maybe recommend some websites where students can browse, because normally we would recommend them to go on the common general website of Education USA. They can also find there some options for scholarships. Maybe you can also suggest some of them specifically for masters or for PhDs. Even though for PhDs, I think much easier. That's why we kind of recommend them to apply to PhD, because they can get their research assistant or their teaching assistantship. So it's kind of much easier. But what about the master? Are there some resources you can recommend maybe?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the most trustful resource would be the university website itself, because most universities most universities do have a page where they have like external scholarship resources. So I would suggest, like, first of all, being more specific, looking through your university's website, the one you got accepted to or the one you're applying for, to go through what they have listed there as scholarships, because there might be some that you've never even heard of that is specific to your country or something like that. Besides that, one that was helpful for me was also actually Education USA official page, where is the Find Financial Aid section, where you can go and I don't know if you can put the link here somewhere, where you can go and filter it out. For example, if you were going to be applying from Armenia, so you put the country, or if you're going to apply for masters, like what kind of program you're going to apply to, you put the program. And official Education USA website has those resources. So yeah, those are the two main resources that I used, to be honest, that were also credible, because there are a lot of scam scholarships out there. So that's why I would recommend, like, fact check whatever you're researching, because again, ChatGPT doesn't know everything. It does come up with many non-existing scholarships even. So yeah, I would just recommend Education USA page, and also the specific university pages.
Totally agree. Okay, good. And I think one with which I would like to wrap up, and then we can focus on the ones that students addressed. Looking ahead, what advice would you offer to students who are in a similar position? and they would struggle finding, maybe their financial aid, or maybe deciding on what university they would have specifically to choose, or maybe they have received many time when they would get their offers, how they would just give them an advice on this.
My advice would be, first of all, believe in believe in what you want to do. If you got accepted, it means you belong there. So I because I was also, a few months ago when I first received my admissions, I was very worried of how I'm going to be able to afford this, because it's a pretty expensive university. So I would just say, first of all, appreciate yourself, be proud of yourself that you got into the university. And then I think everything will work out, fall in its place once you look for those resources. But again, remember another thing: you can, if you feel like you cannot manage to find, for example, financial aid enough for you to be able to go there, there's also an option of deferment, where you kind of tell the university that I want to come to your university, but maybe next academic year, which of course doesn't 100% guarantee your space, but still it is something that you can kind of put as a reservation, let's say, that you can continue maybe next year, which you will spend like the year to find resources or raise money, like with crowdfunding and so on. On the side of like choosing universities, if you're in the process of applying now, I would say that start as early as you can. I know a lot of people say this, and it might seem like it's a repetition, and it might seem that it's not possible, but it is possible if you manage your time effectively. Just say, for example, this week I will research this university, the other week I will research this university. But the really, really important thing is to note down what you're researching, because there has been some cases where I would go back and research again just because I didn't take notes, or even like highlights, or take screenshots or whatever, because you will forget. There's like, once you get into the search, you will forget which one was relevant for which. And again, specifically for masters, I would suggest, just imagine yourself, visualize yourself, you're in the classroom of that program. Will you actually enjoy the classes that you're offered, or is it just you're going just to have a master's degree? So yeah, just ask yourself if you're actually gonna enjoy the program, because yes, of course, studying is not that easy, but actually it should be something enjoyable for you as well. So to kind of repeat again, just start as early as you can. Visualize yourself in the program as a student. Would you actually enjoy it? And also another thing, participate in webinars, whether Education USA virtual webinars or the webinars that the universities offer specific for programs. That is a great, like, it makes a great difference, because it shows how like interested you are, how you want to be in that program. And also you might get some insider, let's say insider information that will be helpful for you. Or even, for example, instead of emailing them to get your answer like a week later, during the webinar you can ask your question and you will get your answer immediately. So yeah, that's a thing to keep in mind to participate. And another good thing is, like, sometimes when you participate in those webinars, they actually give you application fee waivers, which means that you don't have to pay for the application, which is like around starting from $75 to $150 even for some universities. And that's a lot if you're going to apply to, for example, 6 or 7 or even more. That's a lot. So I would suggest just participate in those webinars, because it's very beneficial, both on the information side and also financially as well.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nairy. Okay, so now we can focus on the questions that we've got before the webinar. A lot of people wanted to address a lot of questions. So one of the first one is, does the gap in work experience affect my application?
Mm-hmm. So I would say no, depending how you present yourself in the application. Because I also had a gap year even in my academic experience, like gap in academia continuing, and also gap in my work experience as well, because I I do not have like an official job in anthropology, for example. So that you might say that how would you get, for example, because I got to into another program that was purely cultural anthropology, but I still got in with my profile. So that's okay if you have those gaps. That's okay in especially for applying for US education institutions. Having a gap year doesn't break your deal. If you're fit to be there, you will get in. But again, it's a matter of how you present it. For example, I did not have experience in anthropology as a job, but I had the experience of doing research for example, my capstone for project to graduate from my undergraduate degree, which was sort of anthropology related. And in your application, you just have to make sure how you word it, how you show that, how like what you did during, for example, in this element of your experience, life experience, and so on. Yeah, it's just you have to kind of I hate to say this, but it's just basically the way it is. You have to sell yourself basically of what experience you had. It might not be the perfect one, let's say, but again, if it shows, if you show your motivation, it wouldn't matter. And another thing is that US institutions have a holistic way of they look at applications. It's not just the work, it's not just the resume, it's all of those things connected: your personal statement, your recommendation, your scores, your standardized scores, your GPA, and so on. So they look at it as a whole and not just they pinpoint your, for example, work experience. You don't have it, that's it. They don't look at like that.
I totally agree. I also wanted to point on that. So it's very important to have the correct wording and maybe focus more on your strengths than more on the and less on the weakness, let's say. So here also comes the help of the Education USA advisors that you have in the region. They can also advise you on how to do that better in your portfolio. And also the program that I have told you about and for which you have a QR code on our screen will also navigate you to the process of how you have to do that correctly, on what you need to pay attention. So yeah, definitely that can be also very, very helpful. Okay, the other question, do we need extracurricular activities for applying to master degree?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question, actually, because it's very common for undergraduate degrees when you're applying. They do pay a lot of attention on extracurricular activities. But for the master's program, from all the applications that I had, there were not even like places that I would put my extracurricular activities in the application. It was just in my resume that I put. I would say that it doesn't hurt if you have it. That's great. That's an additional part of your experience, let's say. But it's not like if you do not have extracurriculars, you wouldn't get in. Again, this goes back to your holistic review, because yeah, it's a bit different for undergraduate than graduate degrees. They don't check too much of the extracurricular activities.
Okay, great. The next question, is there a possibility to get 100% scholarship?
Uh, there is a possibility. Actually, there are some students who did get into different universities with 100% scholarship. But I would say, just like to be honest and to show the real side, that for masters, it's the hardest to get 100% scholarship, because even like a few months ago, I was also like talking with a financial aid officer of a university, and she was telling me that usually in the US, that's how the funding of like the funds of education is distributed, mostly for undergraduate, and then the PhD. So masters is like this middle child in the middle that kind of doesn't get as much funds, but it doesn't mean that you cannot get any. We do have, from the experience of Education USA as well, Armenia specifically, we do have students who are studying with 100% scholarship, or because of, for example, assistantships that they got. So I would say it's it is hard, but it's possible. So you just have to do your research even harder to figure out from the start if uh, these universities will offer you 100% scholarship or not.
I would also point here that it's also depending on the program, because we know there are different programs for which there is a bigger amount of money allowed or more grants allowed to that. As we know, for undergraduate student, that's normally STEM, and I couldn't say that it's actually the same also for postgraduate degree, because normally to STEM there is a lot of focus, there are a lot of money allowed to that. So you can also, it depends on the program for sure. Okay, the next question. How can you finance your education if you received not a fully funded scholarship? I received 80% of tuition. Would you recommend a student loan as an option for an international student? I would say 80% is a very good
Very
is
good.
a very good percent.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah, whoever this is, congratulations. That's amazing. 80% off. That's amazing. Uh I don't know, that's amazing. I would say go for it for the student loan again. But of course, again, if you really like the program and if you really want to be there or you're studying there, go for it. It's an investment for your future, it's an investment for your happiness, even if it's going to make you happy. So go for it. You can always pay it back. So it's not the end of the world if you have some loans. That's totally okay. So I would say just go for it.
I would also recommend you that. And I would also recommend also how Nairy did. You can look for small scholarships that you can also maybe find on our website, depending also on the level of education. Either if you're applying for bachelor degree, or if you're applying for postgraduate degree. For postgraduate, I think it's kind of more difficult because you would also have to look for your own housing. You would also have to look, you'll have to pay a lot of things. But if that's for bachelor degree, that means that maybe also your campus is covered. So you should look for the options. Maybe more communication with the financial officer would give you more perspectives. You can look for the scholarships that they have available for international students. There might be chances to get that also. And you can outreach your Education USA advisor. I think that would also be a great thing to do. Okay, good. Then the other question, I would like to know what kind of internships should I do, and the GPA of the 4 years, is it important or the last year only?
So again, with the internship, it would mean that it would be good, for example, to do an internship within your field, like what you would like to study, because it would give you kind of like an insight if you actually want to study that, if you actually see yourself doing that job, for example, in the future. But again, it's very specific. For example, because I didn't have any internship opportunities, I just had research opportunities. So again, it's a matter of your program, what they look for. If it's a business program, they usually kind of look for like internship or job opportunities. But again, it doesn't break it or make it. It's a matter of how you present what you did in that um, throughout your, for example, even undergraduate degree to lead you to your graduate. As for the GPA, they do ask it as like you have to put your GPA as a cumulative GPA of your entire education, but they will also see your transcript, which means that they will see your GPA for each semester even. So if there was like an improvement, that's a good sign. So they would see it. Also, another thing that I actually learned from the one of the webinars that I participated for Teachers College, which was that if you feel like your GPA doesn't, if you believe that your GPA doesn't reflect your academic abilities and your best self, they would say life happens, for example, my first year of university was the time of COVID, and I did my whole year online. So they would say there's always like an additional comment section during, like application process. So they would recommend writing there, for example, why you believe that that GPA doesn't reflect you. Of course, accurate information, don't lie, lying is never good, but accurate information. You can, maybe it could be that during that semester you had some health problems and you couldn't attend classes, or again, yeah, it was COVID and you uh, couldn't attend class as well. So they say like, they said that they do pay attention to the additional comment information, like part. So you could explain there, for example, you would see my GPA the first few semesters were not that great because blah blah blah. You'll say something, a good reason you would give, but then you said with my efforts, you can see that I improved it. Because, for example, I was more comfortable during those years and I didn't face difficulties of like a world pandemic or something like that. So again, you can explain it. It doesn't, don't worry if your GPA is not as high as you expected. It's just you can explain that as well in your application.
I totally agree. And you can always look for the minimum requirement for the GPA or for the test scores or for everything else that they are requiring. And somehow you would rate your chances. What is going to be your acceptance rate after your application? So you should be also realistic about that. That's what we
Yeah.
always tell students. You cannot really apply with a low GPA to an Ivy League university because maybe for them that is going to be important. And if the average GPA is kind of bigger, then you don't have so much chances. So rate yourself also, and be, sometimes you need to be critical about yourself in this case. Not praising a lot. I mean, praising, but not a lot. You should be really critical. Okay, the next question. What are the most common mistakes that can lead to rejection, even if the candidate is strong academically, and are there funding opportunities available for international students, like scholarships or assistantships?
Okay, I guess we answered the second half of the question, but to focus on the first part, I would say one of the most common mistakes that people make for applying to graduate degree is sending the same statement of purpose or the personal statement to all universities, just changing the name of the university, because that's not a good strategy. I know it may sound like a lot of work, but believe me, it will pay off. If you have to write different, of course you can recycle some information because that's you, it's about you, your story, so you can't completely change it, but you have to be specific for the university and specific for the program. So that's why, like, if you're applying to 10 different schools, don't use the same personal statement to send to all those universities. Do research specifically, again, as I mentioned, like writing notes. Do specific research for the university, for the program that you're applying for example, what I did was, when I was writing my personal statements, I had on the side also, like, because usually all programs have catalogs, it's required for them to have like kind of about the program, and then courses requirements, courses they offer, and so on. So I highlighted some points in the catalog they had, and what I was writing, I kind of highlighted there as well to see the connection, if I'm making any connection to the university specific. So yeah, that's the most common mistake that we made, which I also made my first year of applying. When I applied to universities, I read my personal statements of those universities, like after I submitted my applications for this year, and I was like, I wouldn't accept me too, because if I removed like my name from there and the name of the university, anyone could use that personal statement. So it was just a statement, it wasn't personal at all. So again, yeah, and that's the most common mistake that they made, depending on the personal statement. I would keep in mind like 3 questions once you're applying to specific programs or universities, to answer the question, why you? So why should you go to that university? Why should they pick you? Why them? So why are you applying to them? Why are you picking them and not other universities? And the third one, which is also important, especially in the case of masters, why now? Because a lot of master students are already like mid-career professionals. They have even like 10 years of experience, and they decide to go to university to continue their master. So you kind of have to answer also, why now are you going? Is it just because it's the way how life is structured, like you go there because okay, you have your undergrad, now you have to go to your masters, or actually you want to learn more, you see a gap in your experience and you want to learn something for you to be able to reach your future goal? So again, I would just to just sum up, to repeat, just be as specific as you can in your personal statement. Make it personal, don't make it just a general statement.
Yes, and I can also say don't use too much AI because that's very
Yes.
popular. So please, guys, don't be confused about that. And sometimes, by the way, we recommend you to use different opinions of different people, like how's that? Professional people, let's say. And sometimes that's also a bad thing because you can give that to your friend, you can give that to your, I don't know, educator or to your teacher, and getting too many opinions, that's sometimes also confusing, and you would be like, wow, I don't know what to write in that because everyone is saying like delete that or cut that. So sometimes you just have to listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, good. The next question, are there any age limits? And you have specified, you have mentioned that a lot of mid-careers are applying specifically to master.
Yeah, there is no age limit. This is also one of those scenarios that age is just a number. Actually, like you would see, even for example, they have usually universities have kind of like description information of their current students, and they would see like that you would see the range of age could be like starting from 20 to, I don't know, 60, 70. There's no age limit. It's again, there's a motivation, right, to apply. You being here also, it shows a motivation that you want to continue your education. So again, yeah, there is no age limit at all. It's just, yeah, you have to answer the question, why now? Why do you want to continue your education now? What changed in your life? Do you want to do you see, for example, changing in the industry, and that's why you want to continue? So again, yeah, just you have to show the admissions also, like why it doesn't matter how old you are. It's just like you wanting your motivation to continue your education.
Totally agree. Okay, thank you. The next one. Does American University of Armenia guarantee a waiver for English tests like TOEFL? What was your GPA when applying to an Ivy League university?
Mm-hmm. So that's a good question, actually. If you study at American University of Armenia, AUA, or even another, like if you're coming from another country, if you study at a university where the language of instruction is in English, it's certified and it's in English, like in the transcript, it says that the language of instruction is in English, you can apply for an English language waiver, which I did also. So that's why I would just say, just recommend, actually, even if your university, the language of instruction is in English, apply for a waiver. Email them also, because unfortunately some students are not qualified, some universities are not qualified for that. But at AUA, I could get a waiver of English even from Columbia University, so I didn't have to send out English scores. So yeah, I would say that it is possible. It does guarantee a waiver for English test for institutions in the US specifically, because it might not be the case if you're applying to Europe or Canada even. So for US, it does guarantee a waiver.
And a continuation of the question, is the 3.77 an acceptable GPA? What should I have in my application that would compensate for my GPA?
I would say that's actually a really good GPA. But again, it's also, as Alina mentioned before too, you have to see the average requirement for your program, like the average GPA that they require. But again, this is a good GPA. Usually 3.2 and up is a good GPA for master's program, but again, it depends from university to university and program to program. So, and I would say again, repeated that US universities have a holistic way they look at applications. So it's not only your GPA that they will look at.
I totally agree. Yeah, that's what also I wanted to say. A lot of things can compensate, even your test, standardized test scores, that can also compensate.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, do your best to increase your chances by all the main possible ways. Okay, another question. I have been admitted to Columbia this year, but they did not mention any funding in my offer of admission letter and ignored an email where I asked regarding my financial aid prospects. Is it a normal situation for an Ivy League school?
First of all, I would say congratulations. I hope that I would see you on campus next year. But I would say that no, it's a requirement for the university to let you know, even if it's no, it's like you don't have any funding. I would suggest to like pay attention if they send like a general email that, for example, the funding answers like funding packages have been sent out. If you did not receive an additional email, it means you did not receive, unfortunately, receive a financial package. So again, I would just because yeah, this is not a normal situation actually for an Ivy any university. They're required to send your answers for funding, just like they are required for your admissions as well. So again, I would just quickly check your emails again just to make sure if there was like something specific you might have missed. Or again, I would reach out again. I don't know if you're reaching out to a specific office. Are you reaching out to the financial aid office or the admissions office? So it's important to reach out to the specific office, which is the financial aid office, or you can even reach out to a student ambassador, which they usually have, universities have. So you can reach out to them. Maybe they'll be able to assist you in this situation.
Good, thank you. Question that you actually answered, but maybe it also makes sense just to give the answer. Is it good to contact professors or possible advisors before starting with the application process?
Mhm. If you're applying to PhD, for sure, 100%. That's a thing that you have to do. But again, depending on the program, because I know like some, it's very rare, usually because they do encourage you to contact professors or advisors. But for masters, it doesn't it's not a requirement, but I would again suggest to make sure you read the requirements properly, so because it might vary from university or even program to program.
Yeah, I totally agree. We normally advise students to outreach professor because that also show the interest, that also show how good they have researched also um, their articles were or their works. So I think that definitely can be a good thing, and that can increase your chances. I know we had a student that was in his bachelor degree. I mean, was applying to his bachelor degree, but he outreached the professor when he was in his 11th class. 11th class, I think. So I mean, he was very insistent, and I mean, at the end, he got accepted there. So that can also be an option. Okay. One of the last question: when do application usually start for doctorate programs?
Actually, yeah, doctorate programs usually the applications start earlier than master's program, or even like the deadline would be earlier. Usually, like beginning of December, end of November, beginning of December would be the deadline. So usually the applications will start August, but it doesn't mean that you can start even earlier. You can have everything ready once they open the portal of the application. You can start applying. Again, as if you start early, that's the earlier the better.
I totally agree. Okay, good. So we are done with the question that we have received in advance. And one of the questions that we are receiving in the chat is from Anastasia. Nairy, can you share, please, your exam experience scores? Maybe give some advices. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Actually, I would just say that I am a horrible test taker. I hate taking tests. So I was lucky enough that my university, I had the English waiver from AUA, but I actually did the tests. I did TOEFL. GRE was not required for any of my programs that I was applying for, but I did take the TOEFL test, and I do believe that it does not reflect my English level at all. So that's why I didn't send my answer, my results. What I would suggest actually with exams, especially for the English, if the university you're applying for accepts Duolingo English test, do that one because it's less stressful. I don't know if they're gonna change it for the upcoming year, but it's less stressful. I did better for the Duolingo test than the TOEFL because, again, you can do it at the comfort of your home. You don't have to be in the presence of like 10 more stressed test takers. So it's more relevant, I would say. Also, the questions are more relevant. They actually check your English like proficiency. So again, most universities are currently accepting Duolingo as an English score, which I would suggest to do so, and it's cheaper also, so you don't have to pay like the double amount for the TOEFL. Especially if you're not as good as a test taker as me, I would say that Duolingo is a better option for you, and you can have as many practice tests as you want from their website, from their official website. So you can give that a try. So yeah.
Okay, I totally agree. I think it's important also to see what are the English proficiency tests required by the specific institution. I know some of them are picky and they would request specifically several of them. I can also say about, I mean, specifically about Duolingo, that we had experience with some students for which the test wasn't going that well, and they are also very strict about that because you cannot really copy on that. I mean,
Yeah,
it
of
doesn't mean
course.
that you have to copy when you have your TOEFL or when you have your IELTS, but anyway, even though that's online, it doesn't mean that you will be really you would not have to pay attention to the fact that there are some eligibility criteria, not eligibility criteria, but some things that you should follow, and you should be, and those are strict.
Yes,
So
of course, you can get disqualified if you don't follow the rules, and you will be like recorded throughout your entire test. So, again, it's just for me, the matter was just being more comfortable, like being at a place that I feel comfortable. So that's what also helped me, that I didn't have to worry about anyone else around me. So, yeah.
I totally agree. Okay, another question from Karini. Nayiri, what was your GPA? I think you've mentioned that, but if we can say that once more.
I didn't mention that because I didn't want people to compare to me, but I would say that my GPA is 3.95. But again, I wouldn't say that this was like the thing that made me get accepted, because again, I applied last year with the same GPA and I didn't get in, or I applied to some universities even this year with the same GPA and I didn't get in. So I would say that, yeah, this isn't just break it or make it. Of course, it has some benefit. It did give me some advantage. But again, don't focus too much on your GPA. It's just a number.
I totally agree. Another question from Danilo. I'm from Montenegro. Oh, wow. Thank you
Hello.
for yeah, hello. Finishing A levels in the UK and have an offer to study economics at the University of Amsterdam. What mindset and steps should I take from the start to improve my chances? Prepare earlier, like Nair already said.
Yeah, I would suggest, if you are hello, by the way, thank you for joining. If you are referring that you're how you should uh step, as in to go to like your university experience, in that mindset that you already got in, I would say just be open for opportunities, because again, at any university, at any place, you might meet different people that can change your life even. So I would say network wherever you are on the campus, or whatever you're doing. So yeah, if you're referring to that, again, just also don't compare your experience to other people's experiences if you're just starting your studies. Uh, but if your questions refer to what steps you should take for you to apply for graduate degree afterwards in the US, I would again say that take the best out of your opportunity at the University of Amsterdam, and figure out how you want to continue, and explore yourself also with what you like doing. That's how I also realized that I like anthropology, was taking courses in anthropology. So again, explore your chances, opportunities, and network with people as much as you can, I would say.
And I think it's already a good thing that you are studying somewhere outside of your country, so you are not homesick. So I think that's already good. You are kind of used to be somewhere else than in your country, and I think you will succeed for sure. And your mindset, I think, should be fine for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I think we are done with all the question. If you guys have some additional of them, let us know. There is our email on the website, and we can also put you in touch with Nairy in case if you're interested about her program specifically, or if you want to find more about her experience. I think Armenian students are very lucky to have an advisor there that has been accepted. They will use this opportunity to get as many tips as possible. Thank you so much for being today active with us. I would just like to conclude at the end of this session that you guys have the opportunity to apply for a program that is fully designed for your postgraduate studies, that will prepare you, that will navigate all the tiny steps that you have to take when you are applying. And you will have advisors, you will have universities attending that, you will have alumni attending those courses. And I think that is awesome. It will start in the summer, you'll have a break, and you still have time to apply. It's at the end of April, the deadline. So please use this opportunity in case if you are confused or you want to take another gap year to just prepare. That will definitely increase your chances, and you will know on what you need to pay attention specifically about your application. Other than that, I wish you a great evening. Thank you so much for being so active, for addressing your question, and for joining Nairy. Nairy, I am very appreciating your attendance today. I hope your experience will be very motivating and very useful to all the students that have attended us and that will watch this recording afterwards. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you will succeed to get your financial aid, to get it fully, to get it fully, and yes, and then just continue with your research dreams.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alina, and thank you everyone for joining and asking your questions. I hope I was helpful in some way. And yeah, if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can also find me on LinkedIn, and you can reach out if you have any questions during your applications, and I would do my best to respond. So yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you, guys. We wish you a great evening, and stay tuned for all the other webinars that we have scheduled for April. Thank you.
Bye bye.